Tonight on Joy News Prime, the minority in Parliament considering moves to bar the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Wusu, from presiding over sittings in the House in the absence of the Speaker of Parliament.
If the person who is supposed to hold the fort says, I am not the person, it tells us that whoever comes there in the form or shape of Honorable Joseph Wusu is an imposter.
Members of Parliament set up a 20-member team to resolve the stalemate over the 2022 budget. Also in this bulletin, police arrest blessed God's Brain Smart, popularly known as Captain Smart, for unsavory pronouncements that hinge on peace and security. And in business, high cost of LPG reduces demand ahead of Christmas. We have a report ahead as operators lament over the 70% increase since the beginning of the year.
The increase is about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They reduce it, but now they don't reach again. It's always up. And it's also affecting the business too. Customers are complaining.
High cost of LPG reduces the demand for the product. We have details shortly for you in business. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlimli on your digital terrestrial TV, because we're free to air on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 144. We are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Do stay tuned in. Many thanks for choosing us. Let's begin with the minority in Parliament, which is considering moves to bar the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Wusu, from presiding over sittings in the House in the absence of the Speaker of Parliament. According to the NDC caucus, they will not be comfortable with the Bekwai MP as the presiding Speaker. This follows a controversial ruling by Mr. Wusu, in which he indicated that assuming the Speaker chair does not take away the fact that he is an MP. That ruling degenerated the House into chaos, leading to the abrupt end of Thursday's sitting. MP for Bongo Edward Bauer says Joseph Wusu is not fit to occupy the Speaker's chair due to his posturing. He tells Joy News he will be sad to see Joe Wise presiding over sittings going forward. He's been speaking to my colleague, Kwesi Parker-Wilson.
Yeah, these are thoughts that have gone through a lot of people's mind, including myself. And the point is this: if you look at our Order 7, the Order 7 gives a definition of who a speaker is. The Order 7 talks about Mr. Speaker himself being a speaker and any other member who presides over a sitting. And so it tells you that at the time the first Deputy Speaker was presiding, he was presiding as a speaker. That's the first point. 2, you'll recall that on Tuesday, before the supposed approval of now what they call the budget, the acting clerk got up and read Order 13.2, indicating clearly that, look, Mr. Speaker was out of the jurisdiction, and that as per Order 13.2, the first Deputy Speaker was to assume the role of Mr. Speaker in all that, and that until otherwise stated, he was going to act as the Speaker of the country, of Parliament. And so if you knew this, and then you openly say that you are not the Speaker, then you have no business sitting there. Because then we are a bit confused. Because as we speak now, the head of Parliament now is the first Deputy Speaker, because the Speaker himself is out of the jurisdiction. But if the person who is supposed to hold the fort says, I am not the person, it tells us that whoever comes there in the form or shape of Honorable Joseph Wusu is an imposter. And so we will not be comfortable with that. So yes, it is. We are only holding him to his own words that he is not the Speaker. And so that is the challenge that we have.
So if you resume on Tuesday or any other day and he comes to the chamber as the Speaker presiding over the House, is this something you protest or what? Because I don't get it. No, this is a man who has been elected by Parliament to be the first Deputy Speaker. You can't challenge that. It's on record.
Yes, and that is true. And that is why we're surprised that at one point, that for him to have said that he was not the Speaker, because that's why I indicated. I said on Tuesday, before proceedings went on, the acting clerk got up and read Order 13.2. And Order 13.2 talks about in the absence of the speaker, who acts as the speaker. So he, as we speak today, as far as we know and as per our standing orders, he is supposed to be the speaker.
Beside what then happens?
As we say, he has not done that. So when we get there, we'll cross this. We'll cross the bridge. But for us, we speak now. You know, after he suspended sitting, he refused to come to adjourn the sitting. Today, he never came. It was the second deputy speaker who came. Of course, the second deputy speaker, even in the presence of Mr. Speaker himself, and I'm talking of Right Honorable Agbansumani Bambi, the second deputy speaker can always come to either adjourn or maybe even start a sitting or even continue from one point. So it is not out of place. But we are saying that since that particular unfortunate incident, he himself has not had the courage to come and preside over any deliberations in the plenary.
But for the NDC, you wouldn't be comfortable having Jose also in the chair?
I think Ghanaians should not be comfortable with somebody that Ghanaians have entrusted with power. And he says, no, I'm not the one who is supposed to have that power. There must be a willingness on your side to act in a particular position before the state can entrust that role for you. So if the willingness of Mr. J. Osei is that he is not the Speaker of Parliament, what it simply means is that we should be putting our faith in other things, maybe the second deputy speaker.
And finally, for me on this matter, I mean, you're guided by the standing orders. You can't just by word of mouth say because he said he's not the speaker, automatically you're not comfortable, and so it should hold. You have to go through the processes to get him probably out. Is that what you're?
No, that's not where we're going. See, we just say that if he comes again now to preside over any sitting, then that would be hypocrisy of what he said himself, because by his very conduct, he indicated that he was not ready to assume the office of Mr. Speaker in the absence of Mr. Speaker outside the jurisdiction of Ghana, as per Order 13.2. So that's why we're saying, if he comes, it will be a betrayal of his own position, that I am not the Speaker. You remember that's what he said.
But apart from that, you still maintain that he
I will tell you, I can tell you my personal opinion, and this may not be the opinion of the caucus. I can tell you my personal opinion, which is that I'll be very sad to see him there.
The Bongo MP also urged the House not to relent on its quest to probe the alleged impersonation of the Dom Kwabenya MP, Sarah Adjo-Asafo.
If for nothing at all, a body known as ASEPA or something has petitioned Parliament. Right. I think that it is only proper that Parliament takes this very seriously, because assuming that these suspicions are anything to go by and that they are true, it tells us that the integrity and the integrity of the institution of Parliament is being compromised, and that at the end of the day, Dom Kwabenya people who thought that they had an individual who was representing them may not have been the person. That is something that is serious. Let's not joke with this. I am not saying that the person who appeared on Tuesday and the person who appeared on Wednesday are different. I am not also saying...
Black is very convincing his mind.
No. The point is that, I mean, you see, I have my personal opinion about it.
Was it the one in the chamber?
If it is,
she's a colleague.
Yeah, what I saw from the screens sitting in my office, I thought she was not the one. But it can only my position can be verified or maybe ascertained through an investigation. And I think that Parliament should be interested in conducting investigation to the end.
If you say Parliament, what exactly are you talking about?
I'm talking of Parliament, talking of the House.
Okay.
Because as we speak now, let me be very sincere, there's so much technology to ascertain as to whether the person who appeared on Tuesday and the person who appeared on Wednesday, whether they are the same people. I want us to do that.
So you're urging the House to proceed with it?
And I think that it is only fair that we do that, because there's even a formal complaint, that a petition that has been brought by a civil society organization. And it is only fair that we do justice to that particular petition.
Meanwhile, Parliament has set up a 20-member team to resolve the stalemate. The leadership of the House has themselves acknowledged that the recent developments don't augur well for parliamentary democracy and need to build consensus. The minority on Friday voted to reject the policy document amid claims it will further impose hardships on the ordinary Ghanaian due to the introduction of what has been described as obnoxious taxes. However, the majority group on Tuesday set aside the ruling of Alban Bagbin, affirming the rejection of the budget last week, Friday. The minority minority who were unhappy with the move also filed a motion of rescission in an attempt to throw out the approval of the budget by the NPP caucus. In its ruling on the motion by the NDC MPs, challenging the approval of the policy document, First Deputy Speaker Joseph Osei argued as an MP, he enjoyed privileges of a deputy and not fully clothed with the full powers of a speaker. This led to chaotic scenes in the chamber, with some unhappy minority MPs attempting to snatch the speaker's chair. Ghanaians who have been left unhappy with the development have criticized the MPs for their unruly behavior.
Honourable members, when it comes to the question of voting, it is very clear. Anytime any of the deputy speakers or any other member elected to preside is in the chair, that member does not vote. That has never been in dispute. Anytime a member is presiding, either a deputy speaker or a member who by necessity is elected from among members to preside, that person does not vote. He's debating. We are debating. Who was that? Shut up! You should shut up, brother. Who was that? Can the measure find that person and work him out? So, honourable members, let me put on...
The Parliamentary Service says it is working to resolve the disagreement. Director of Public Affairs, Kate Agro, who is unhappy with the recent developments, has rendered an unqualified apology to the general public, adding there are ongoing talks to settle the impasse.
The opportunity, and obviously everybody is anxious to see an end to what he described as the impasse. It's been a very stressful few days, but we want to assure everybody that, as I'm sure everyone is aware of, this is in the best interest of the country. All the parts that are agreeing or disagreeing are doing so based on very deep convictions that have to do with the public interest, and that is what is paramount. We recognize that there have been issues that the public is anxiously waiting to see a resolution, and Parliament finally coming out with solutions to what seems to be major disagreements at the moment. We can, as Parliament, we can assure the citizens that we are working on ensuring that as soon as possible, as soon as practicable, we'll be able to put together a resolution that will serve the interest of each and every Ghanaian. And that is what we are working for. That's what the Parliament, institution of Parliament was actually set up for. And so as soon as possible, Parliament is going to come out with the final resolution to the matter. I can assure you that the leaders, the relevant actors in the game are working together to ensure that we are able to come to some consensus for work in the Parliament to go on. This is the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic. 4 times 8 is 24 years. We've come a long way. We are very jealous of the gains that we've made as an institution. We are not about to not let those gains mean something to us. And so would like to assure everybody that as soon as possible, Parliament is coming out with some resolution to the matter, and the relevant people are speaking to each other. And we are hoping.
The minority leader in Parliament, Haruna Idrisu, says his side has no interest in jeopardizing the running of government, but warns they will stand up against any illegality.
Today we have been told that deputy speakers are not speakers. Our standing orders have been set aside. Any of you here, open your standing order and read the definition of speaker. It includes deputy speakers and persons presiding, as is expected of them under Article 102 of the Constitution. When you hear the Constitution, and go to the record, I have used it on the floor of Parliament. When you hear the Constitution say, except otherwise as provided in the Constitution, those of us who understand constitutional law, it operates as a limitation that in the exercise of that authority and mandate, have respect to other provisions of the Constitution. In any case, Is it our minority they want to teach Article 104? Go to the record. I, on Thursday, 25th, stated on the floor of Parliament, reminding Speaker Bagbin that tomorrow, Friday, I will invoke Article 104 of the Constitution.
Let's get on to Zoom and speak with Dr. Rashid Rahmani, who is Executive Director of Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. Doc, I'm grateful for your time this evening. Now we're hearing that there's a 20-member team to help resolve the impasse in Parliament. Good indication towards consensus building?
Yes, indeed, Aisha, a very, very good indication, because you see, both sides have put themselves in some very difficult box that they have to find a way to come out of that box. And most importantly, they have to find a way to save face. So this committee is going to provide that very important mechanism that that is needed in order for the two sides to begin to talk to each other. You know, in the last couple of days, there have been a lot of members from both sides that have invoked, legalities, and we even have heard instances where some members have said this is going to end up at the Supreme Court. Even if it does end up at the Supreme Court, Aisha, and judgment is given, they still have 3 years ahead of them. They have to come back and sit in that 275-member house and talk to each other and work with each other. Because that is the kind of system that we have chosen. And that's why we say we don't want military dictatorship, so that somebody will get up and give us decrees every morning. We want our members of parliament to sit down, sometimes agree to disagree. So I think the formation of this bipartisan committee is a very important and the right move at this point in time in order to get us out of the current difficulty. I just hope that, I don't know what the mandate of the committee is, how much time it has been given. I haven't seen that yet. But I hope by the time the House reconvenes next week, they would have ironed out all the issues that divide them, keeping in mind.
Main focus. What should be the main focus of this committee?
Well, I think the main focus of the committee should be, let's try and resolve the differences on the issue of Article 104 of the Constitution. Because even as late as today, when I was in Parliament, there were talks about what does 137 mean, and so on and so forth. I think we are in a completely different dispensation, and the two sides will need to get that in focus in terms of all deliberations that they are going to be having together. Because at the end of the day, I think there is more that unites them than divides them.
But even as we try to resolve this impasse, the minority is giving indication that it's going to take a move to actually bar the first deputy speaker from presiding over sittings in the House. How does this come across to you?
Well, it comes across to me as, again, another difficulty that will set back the progress, or if you like, the attempts that are being made now to build consensus and resolve differences. In the heat of the moment, I believe both sides might have made some mistakes, and people might have said things that otherwise they would not say if they were, reasoning normally and not under the kind of pressure and chaotic scenes that we have been seeing in our parliament lately. I think what the right honorable deputy speaker wanted to put across as a message is that, first and foremost, in his case, is a member elected to represent the people of the choir. of course, different from Right Honorable Alban Bagwin, who is not a member of Parliament, as we do have it in our constitutional arrangement in our standing orders. Perhaps that message didn't come out quite clearly, and so I would say that, in the interest of this bipartisan committee that has been set up, perhaps maybe this should be another focus of the work of that committee. And Aisha, I would even dare say that, because of what some of us have been calling for many months now, that consensus and bridge building between the two sides should be the number one priority for this 8th Parliament. I would dare say perhaps maybe this committee should be maybe a permanent feature of this 8th Parliament, and we'll call it a consensus building committee, so that, it would exist. Perhaps maybe we can look at its form and its nature and try and see, because a lot of differences are going to come and a lot of surprises, Aisha, in the next 3 years.
And definitely this committee may help in resolving some of the challenges. I'm grateful for your time. Dr. Rashid Dramani is the Executive Director of the African Center for Parliamentary Affairs. Now, get the jabs now. That is charged by health experts to Ghanaians as it emerges. Scientists in the country's labs have detected at least 34 cases of the Omicron COVID-19 strain. The Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research says these were observed in samples collected from some 120 travelers who arrived at the airport last week. Professor William Ampofo is lead virologist at Noguchi.
Check on recent arrivals into the country. We selected all the samples that had come in within the past couple of weeks, and then we also selected community samples. So from the quarantine system and also from community samples, we did a check, almost 200 samples, and we found about 28% of Omicron in the travelers. We didn't find Omicron variant in any of the community patients. So this is in line with the epidemiology that we know of this strain, that it's spreading. We found it in some travelers from South Africa, from Nigeria, main countries that we found this variant. And of course, as the Director General said, the first detection was in a traveler who had arrived on the 21st of November.
It is still unclear whether the strain has started community transmission yet, but there appears to be a growing level of vaccine hesitancy in Ghana. Experts say the rollout of the mandatory vaccination policy is one of the surest ways to contain the spread, but some of the targeted groups for vaccination are opposing the policy. Listen to Head of Communications of GPRTU, Abbas Moro, who wants the policy reversed.
You need your vaccination card to work. I don't believe that is enough, because this COVID came, and when they started the vaccination in Europe, we were all looking for this vaccine here. And it wasn't easy to have it here. And later we heard about so many complications about this COVID vaccine. Now, the vaccine, we are told the vaccine is here. Yes, some of us, we are fortunate we've taken. I had privilege to take the Johnson & Johnson, which is just one shot. I and other colleagues have privilege to take that. But they need to convince people to go in for the vaccine. By telling people, if you don't have the vaccine card from next year, you won't work. I mean, that is not enough, because after all, that will not put food on the table. But since we are Ghanaians, because drivers, for instance, we could easily contract this disease due to a number of people we deal with daily.
With threats of possible surge after the Christmas festivities, the rise in cases with the fourth wave and the emergence of the new COVID-19 variant Omicron, the Health Ministry has started a mass vaccination exercise targeting 20 million people by January 2022. Sector Minister Kwekwajiman Menu, who announced this at a program to declare December as the National COVID-19 Vaccination Month, indicated vaccination certificates will be inspected to ensure compliance. Hannah Odame was there for Joy News.
Health Minister Kwekwajuman Menu says before early January 2022, all health workers, security personnel, school staff and students above 15 years, all government workers and all commercial drivers are mandated to get the vaccine. He adds certificates will be inspected before entry is granted into some facilities.
It is also going to be mandatory to visit the following venues: nightclubs, beaches, sports stadiums or stadia, and restaurants. So all those who want to go to eat indoor restaurants, you should be vaccinated, and you have a way of checking on your vaccination cards before you're allowed into restaurants to eat.
The minister noted the country has enough vaccines to ensure that 20 million Ghanaians get the jabs by that time.
To ensure that the target of vaccinating approximately 20 million people in Ghana is achieved, the government of Ghana, through the COVAX facility, bilateral and other multilateral arrangements, has secured over 12 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines, which are being deployed across the country. Substantial quantities of these vaccines have been received in the last 2 weeks. Additionally, we have over 8 million doses in the pipeline expected before the end of this year. With these enormous quantities of vaccines available, we will have no excuse if we do not move closer.
Kwekwajuman Menu also outlined the rollout for the vaccination exercise.
Trained health workers will continue to be available at all health facilities and temporary health posts to administer the COVID-19 vaccine to all persons 15 years and above. In addition, mobile teams will move to towns and villages where they will be located at schools, churches, mosques, bus stops, burials, and market areas to vaccinate people.
COVID-19 ambassador and gospel musician Celestine Donko says, though she's received some negative feedback about her vaccination advocacy, she's urging everyone to get the jabs.
One of them said, Celestine, I'm disappointed in you. Do you know Jesus? He will not take the vaccine. But eventually we took it. So what shall I say unto Ghanaians? Go and take the vaccine, it's safe and effective.
For Joy News, I am Hannah Odami.
The Ministry of Energy has indicated it will soon begin demolition and relocation of poorly constructed buildings that pose threats to electrical installations. Sector Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh reiterates the need to ensure such sites are kept safe to maintain a constant power supply. He spoke at a press conference as part of his engagement with stakeholders and inspection of some power installations in Greater Kumasi.
Parts of Greater Kumasi have recently experienced power cuts. The Ghana Grid Company Limited Gridco has attributed this to an incident of interference from a communication tower, damaging 3 of its transmission lines, including a 330 kV Kumasi to Ambazi line. Energy Minister Matthew Opoku-Prempeh says these occurrences are severe interferences to constant power supply in the region, hence the need to embark on an operation to ease electrical transmitters.
And it's complicated because your lines going through to the north go through Ashanti. And technically, it's made our situation worse. Don't construct structures near high tension cables and things because they can have an effect on the whole public good that we are enjoying. If we are going to go around with high cables, you'll see structures everywhere. And we have to be proactive. It has happened. We should make sure it doesn't happen to any of our transmission lines because the transmission lines and their towers are not off-the-shelf items.
Dr. Opoku-Prempeh asks electricity officials to efficiently monitor transmitters across all stations to ensure buildings are not wrongly situated. He is positive this can aid in reducing the occasions of electricity disruption on transmission lines.
Who gave them the permit to site where they sited? And you begin to see that It is also another official who was probably sitting around one of our district offices, planning authorities, who gave the people the sign. And I think this is a classic example of probably what I'll call regulatory failure. Those who have to regulate the living spaces we live in have regulated it, and it has backfired. So we all have to learn the lessons. We will continue to give the support to ECG and Agro to ensure that whatever necessary is done. A generation in the middle belt going north to stabilize the system and to prevent such occurrences to the minimum or to zero happens.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Energy has apologized to consumers for the recent power crisis. From Kumasi, Emmanuel Osei reporting.
And still to come in this bulletin, high cost of LPG reduces demand ahead of Christmas. We have a report ahead as operators lament over the 70% increase since the beginning of the year.
Normally it was, they increase it about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they reduce it, but now they don't reach the gate. It's always up. And it's also affecting the business too. Customers are complaining.
Business comes up shortly with Daryl Kwao.
To business, my name is Daryl Kwao. Ahead of Christmas, operators of liquefied petroleum gas LPG are lamenting the high price of the petroleum product. The price of LPG has gone up by more than 70% since the beginning of the year. For instance, the 5-kilogram cylinder is now going for about 55 cedis. They claim the high cost of LPG has reduced the demand for the fuel, as some consumers are now resorting to the use of charcoal. Here's a report.
Liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, is one of the very basic needs of human. However, the price of the product has shot up significantly this year, a situation which has compelled some consumers to resort to charcoal for cooking. Here is Bernard Wilberforce, station manager for Lone Star Gas Company Limited.
Normally it was, they increase it about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they reduce it, but now they don't reach the gate. It's always up. And it's also affecting the business too. Customers are complaining. Why government doing this? First was like this. Now, anytime you come, they say they fix the prices and they're always complaining.
So after complaining, has the number of people who come here to buy decreased?
Oh, they do come, but maybe like buying 120, 140, now buy 100, buy 60, buy 70 because they can't afford the equipment, so they always buy below one or the other one.
Some consumers also expressed worry about the rising cost of LPG and urged government to do something to bring down the prices.
I think there's been a lot of increase on this. I think the last time I bought was less than 100. I can't just take. I think it was around less than 90 Ghana. That was the past 2 months. And I use this for domestic purposes. And I think it's just too much for some of us.
It has been an increase. And it's too high. Because I think for the purpose that we should use the gas is to stop cutting down the trees, save our forests. But now that it has been increased to this amount, so many people can't afford. So they will go back to the charcoal use, and it will affect our forests, our forestry too. So I think the government should try and do something about it.
In the span of a year or so, you've had that consistency of increment, which you don't know if it's being pegged at the dollar rate or taxes or whatever it is that it making it to rise. You don't know, you can't tell. All that we hear is that they said the dollar or whatever. I don't know what formula they are using, and it doesn't make. If you have budgeted and you have planned for something, you go and it's like this, it creates uncertainty.
It is the hope of many consumers that the price of LPG will go down in the coming months, more especially when crude oil price has started falling.
To something exciting, exhibitors at the 2021 Joy Prime Made in Ghana Fair are excited about the turnout of patrons on the first day. Speaking to Joy Business, the exhibitors were of the great conviction that the numbers will shoot up in the coming days of the 4-day event.
It's the 5th edition of the Made in Ghana Fair. That is the Joy Prime Made in Ghana Fair. Let me quickly speak to some of the exhibitors and know what they've been up to. I can see some products here. Talk to me, what's happening?
Okay, so this is our stand. This is the end of our Ghana Limited. We produce cocoa products made in Ghana. So we have our natural and instant chocolate drink. And our product is really good. And I really like what Joy Prime is doing. This is a very nice event. So we'd like to encourage others to come to the event to see what is made in Ghana.
Now let me move to the next stand to speak to a lady there. We have, how is the fair going for you?
Oh, so far so good. We are hoping for the best. Since today is the first day, we are hoping that customers will come out and patronize us. But so far so good.
What is your expectation?
Yeah, we are expecting people around to come. I think they've advertised this program for a long time, so our expectations are high.
Okay, so Green Label Ghana Foundation is into certification for fresh fruits and vegetables. So we are into food safety, quality, and environmental sustainability approach to production. As you are aware, before you can export your product, you need to conform to some standard before your product can leave the shores of Ghana. But on our local market, we don't have any form of certification. So the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, in collaboration with Ghana Standard Authority, FDA, and some other stakeholders, came together to develop a local standard, which is called the Ghana Green Label Foundation.
I could see some should I say kaftan or something? For your expectations, is it okay?
We are still believing to see amazing people around to patronize what we have here. We are ready for them, and I believe when they come, they're going to get what they're looking for.
Are they really coming?
Yeah, they're coming.
I hope at the end of the day, I might also get one or two.
You don't have a problem. Okay. You don't have a problem. We are going to get your size as well.
Sure. So there's some of the interesting stuff we are getting here. It's still the Joy Prime Made in Ghana Fair here in Nungua. It's a 4-day event. You need to be here. If you're not here, you're definitely missing out on a lot. For Joy Business, James is.
Or it's a holiday as well, so you may just want to pass through the Junction Mall at Nungua for the second day of the Joy Prime Made in Ghana Fair. That's it for business. Second hour, we'll have some stories on Farmers' Day. Up next, though, is sports with Reku.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the first segment of sports here on Joy News Prime. My name is Reku. Wampofo Lady Strikers on Thursday defeated Prisons Ladies at the Medina AstroTurf to book their place in the final of the maiden edition of the Women Premier Super Cup. The Strikers, who are unbeaten so far in the tournament, scored 4 unanswered goals against their opponents to record a convincing victory and advance to the next stage of the tournament. Earlier in the day, Hazakas Ladies also beat Ampim Darkwan Ladies with a scoreline of 3-0, recording what was their third win over the Nananum Ladies in less than a year. Success Amaya scored a brace, while Veronica Pia also netted to ensure the last 2 spots for UC Basigi's side. So the final on Sunday would be between Lady Strikers and Hazakas Ladies. Let's now do some men's football, where the Ghana Football Association says its vision to allow many fans into the stadium for league matches, and that's the reason they introduced the no vaccination, no entry policy about a month ago. According to the General Secretary of the FA, Prosper Harris Nado, players and officials are fully vaccinated and will enforce the directive immediately government demands it.
We do a lot of engagements with the health authorities who have helped us tremendously during this COVID time. And so we, as an association, we have 25% capacity in terms of our attendance, and we are pushing for more. And you can see that the love, some people say the love is back, some say it's coming back. It is coming back. Whichever way you look at it, there are more people than the 25 who are interested in going to the matches. So we are in some form of engagement at the background to see the increment of the numbers. Okay. And one of the key negotiating factors is the vaccinations. Okay. Yes, in the countries that have full capacity today is because they vaccinated to a point.
A chunk of their population.
Yes. And so we would position ourselves to support government in this quest where we have vaccines and to encourage people to go and get them.
In other words, you want to use football as a tool to get the football community to get vaccinated?
Yes. And if we can do that and get more people to the park, it's good for the clubs, it's good for the competition, it's good for the nation. I always say that in a pandemic, the health laws are what you project first, because you need to save lives because before the economic superstructure will come in. And so we've been helping with the players last year, we do the test and everything. And indeed, if you look at the FIFA document on the return of football, the CAF one, our own match day COVID-19 protocols. It's all to support the health authorities to achieve. Once they achieve, we all achieve. Okay. And so whatever advice comes from them, we also project it. We know this will come. And so we are alerting our patrons to be at the forefront and to take the vaccine. We know with football, numbers. When you say today, if you don't vaccinate, you don't enter. A lot of people
will get vaccinated.
Then a lot of people will be in the queues. In terms, so we don't want it to be chaotic. That's why we are alerting
ahead of time. So when do you intend for it to take effect? Because I know when I spoke to the president, he said with immediate effect. When I went to the Ghana Premier League venues, I was there on Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
No, we said we were waiting for directions.
Okay.
Yes, but when the directions come and they said, this is what we are doing, it takes immediate effect when the directions come.
Oh, okay.
So that's why we are saying people should take the vaccines now before we get there.
The directives.
Yes, because when the directives come, that okay, you can now take full capacity or 80% capacity if you are vaccinated. We don't want then people are rushing. So that's why we are alerting, we are encouraging, and we are pleading with the football-loving community to. The players have done theirs. I've done mine. President have done his.
I've done mine too.
Yes. So we can only encourage our fellow citizens to also do it.
Well, that's how we wrap up the first part of the sports segment here. We'll be back with the second part. My name is Eric Wampofo.
And it's time for Showbiz. Beautiful Becky's here.
I like the way you introduce me.
It's the blush for me.
Oh, I'm blushing. So, Aisha, you are invited to dine with Dinah on Sunday, which is 5th of December. So it's a charity fundraising album.
I guess
launch.
I get another opportunity to do a duet with her.
You have to. You see. But Aisha, what's interesting and what's very important about this particular event is that they're raising funds to build a 5-classroom block in the OT region. And so everyone is excited about it. You are invited. And you have Dinah telling us about what to expect and why they think that this is very important for them. Praise the Lord.
It has dropped.
Let's move away. Let's stay in the spirit.
Please stay there. Don't come and hit me.
Because Celestine Donko, who is also a gospel musician, she is actually a COVID-19 ambassador, and she is urging persons who are still skeptical about taking the COVID-19 vaccine to consider their health and that of those around them and take the jab. She says, though she has received some negative feedback about her vaccination advocacy, she intends to keep urging her fans and others to get the jab. She spoke to Joy News.
One of them said, Celestine, I'm disappointed in you. Do you know Jesus? He will not take the vaccine. Another one says, did you consult God? If you know what the vaccine is doing to people spiritually and physically, you won't tell us to go for it.
So what responses do you give to them when you read and hear these messages?
Okay, so I tell them that, look, That was the same reaction our parents gave to polio, yellow fever, even malaria. You know, it had all sort of, you know, words to it. But eventually we took it. So we take so many things that are brought down here to us, malaria medicines, even for headaches. We don't know their source, you know, but we just believe in the Ghana Health Service and then the FDA, who actually screen anything that comes to Ghana for consumption. And they have done their job and they say it's safe. So that's some of the feedback, the response I give to them, that look, we are all scared, but we need to get the right information and then know that we should trust the authorities, we should trust the FDA, that they have done their work and that this thing is not harmful. Yes, that's some of the things I tell them. Take the vaccine, is safe. You and your family will be safe. I have been affected by the COVID virus and it wasn't a comfortable thing at all. And being locked down as an artist over a year and not performing, it's not something I want to encounter again. I want to have a life that I can move about freely. Yes, and I believe everybody out there want the same. So let's take the vaccines.
I believe these are people on your page because they may be your fans. So how do you relate that, being fans who are actually concerned about what you are doing and also ensuring that you are syncing with them as your fans so you don't lose them? How do you blend and combine that?
That's one thing I'm very careful about. I think the good thing is that majority of the comments I receive are in support. It's just a few that are not for. So I take my time to explain to them, and I also refer them to the Ghana Health Service pages for the right information. Yeah, that's what I do.
Do you have any song composed with your ambassadorial role so far?
What shall I say unto Ghanaians? Go and take the vaccine, it's safe and effective.
Chikaka, Kowe Chikaka.
I support that to 100 bucks.
I feel online.
So Aisha, what kind of music do you listen to? What's on your playlist?
Oh, I have a long list. I do jazz.
Oh, you do jazz?
Yes, I do.
Jazz is for old people.
Well, it's nice. I do country music. Okay. It depends on what I want to do. When I want to relax, I do cruise. Okay. I do. But if I want to jump about and, you know, do my own thing, then I do hip life.
Okay.
And I do a little high life.
Oh, that's a long list.
Oh, yeah, it's a tall one. You don't want to know.
You know, I got really curious about, you know, what could be on, you know, celebrities' playlist, especially the musicians. Okay. So I caught up with actress Messi Siedu, who also is a musician, and Stoneboy, to, you know, find out exactly what's on their playlist. And this is very interesting, Aisha.
So, but you know, I have been concentrating on
the acting. Will you go back?
For some time? Yes, I will go back.
So do you have like all your favorite musicians?
Oh,
do you also have a favorite musician?
Yes.
Who do you listen to?
My favorite musician is of late is Mama Esther. Esther Nyamiche.
Okay. Okay.
And now it's Diana Hamilton.
Oh, which of her songs?
Adum nyame adum ntina metiasi eye na adum ntina mi wo ho. I don't know.
I've been very curious about your playlist. Which songs do you have on your playlist? Do you have like
No, the songs I listen to, there you go. Sometimes I just take a break. I don't even listen at all. Now my phone is not on me, you know. Reggae song, R&B, you know, Portuguese, French music. Now I just listen wide. I don't know why you asked. Name one or two. You surely find Jaja City, Jaja Town, the man eternity now call boy town. Now wanna look here, no, bloody city, bloody town.
Have you heard that song before?
But the big fans will sing it like
it's Capleton song, you know, like these are songs I love. You find when I rise early this morning, I see Jah in front of me. Yo, again.
Gospel. Any gospel?
Yeah, that's gospel now.
Oh, okay.
What
showers?
Oh, Becky. What shall I say? Big respect.
I shall call it Kakra.
Thank you so much for making us showbiz, and that'll be it for showbiz. Welcome back to Joy News Prime, to the rest of our stories. The Nema Divisional Police Command has arrested Blessed God's Brain Smart, popularly known as Captain Smart, the host of Onuya TV and Onuya FM morning show in Accra. A statement issued by the police on Thursday said he was arrested following some unsavory pronouncements that hinge on peace and security. He's been cautioned on the offense of offensive conduct conducive to breaches of the peace as provided under Section 207 of the Criminal Act 1960 Act 29. The statement added, the police said Captain Smart is presently in police custody assisting the investigations. The Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, Suleimana Brahma, joins us for more on this one. I'm grateful for your time, Dr. Suleimana Brahma. You are a Media Watch organization, and you believe in media freedom and professionalism. How does all of this come across to you?
Well, thank you very much. I think that, first of all, when the Constitution of our country and other international frameworks guarantee press freedom and freedom of expression, it is because a free, independent, pluralistic media is good for democracy, is good for development. Of course, we need to also recognize that the media can be used for good, which should be what it should be for. But sometimes, too, it can be used for bad. And I think that over the course of time, I have personally received calls from individuals complaining about the content of what is put out on Onuya TV every morning by the presenter, Captain Smart. Well, I've not had the occasion to have a personal conversation with him, but based on what I am told, that as constituting the reasons for his arrest this afternoon or this evening, I am not surprised. I have always said that being a journalist does not mean that one is above the law. If we use a media platform to commit a crime, it is a crime, and therefore we have to face the law. I think it is important that we also bear in mind that even as we work towards press freedom, we advocate for freedom of journalists and freedoms of the media, the most dangerous threat to media freedom is when journalists decide to use media platforms for the kinds of things that can foment trouble and the kinds of things that would, arouse public anger towards media. And to that extent, if what he's done is criminal, well, just as any other person else, the law must take its course.
What lessons are there for journalists in this whole situation?
Well, I think that we need to appreciate that as journalists. First of all, yes, we have to be critical, we have to be independent-minded, and we have to do what the Constitution expects us to do, which is to hold, those in power accountable to the people. But we can do all these being professional. We can be critical without being abusive. We can hold the feet of government to the fire without necessarily, inciting violence. We can demand accountability and transparency without fighting or, preaching hatred and violence. I don't think that those kinds of things would in any way contribute towards achieving the values, the objectives, and whatever the media stand for. What helps the media to achieve the objectives and the purposes for which media must serve democracy is having a very professional media, independent media, credible media, trustworthy media. But I don't think that some of these things that are done on our airways would in any way contribute towards achieving these kinds of great things that the media can achieve for our country.
Thank you so much for joining us. Suleiman Ibrahima is Executive Director of the Media Foundation of West Africa. Now, that Santino Tumfose II warns the Inspector General of Police to help deal with the proliferation of arms in the country. The overlord of the Asante Kingdom says the phenomenon poses a threat to the country's security. That Santino made the charge when the IGP, Dr. George Akufo-Dampare, paid a courtesy call on the Menchia Palace as part of a visit to the region. Nana Ojima has more in the following report.
The Asantehene cited examples from neighboring countries to justify the need to maintain the peace in the country. He observed the proliferation of arms is a worrying phenomenon, hence the need for the police to step up efforts towards dealing with sources of the proliferation.
If you look at the happenings in the neighboring countries, we should be worried. There are too many arms in the country. Most of them are not licensed, but they are in the hands of the people. These are the weapons deployed in armed robberies. How did they get into the country, and from where? If they are locally manufactured, you should find the manufacturers. If they are imported, how do they do it? These are issues you must investigate and end it.
The Otunfo commended the IGP for his good works in the initial period of his tenure, emphasizing the need to foster good relationships with the citizenry. To bring dignity to the service, the Asantehene wants the police service to ensure discipline among personnel.
Some of the people in the force are not competent, others are doing very well. Some of them are supplying their weapons to armed robbers. These are some of the things you must stop.
Meanwhile, the IGP has emphasized his drive to improve standards in the service. We have worked under different police administrations and have learnt a lot. My administration wants to raise the bar. We worked under them and have realized the good things they did and how we can improve in other areas. For Joy News, Nana Ojima, Kumasi.
It is one of the busiest towns in northern Ghana. Its dense population and geographical location make it an ideal area for an economic boom, and yet internet access for many of its residents and a lack of technology education equipment in most schools have held dreams for many of its young people. Kind courtesy ATC Ghana, the wireless tech giant, some students in one of Boko's largest basic schools have an opportunity to change this narrative. My colleague Justice Beidou witnessed the opening of the town's first digital community center to help address this.
Welcome to Boko, one of northern Ghana's economic powerhouse towns. This town, bordered to the north by Burkina Faso and to the east by Togo, is a mixed bag community for people from all walks of life. And yet, despite its immense economic potential, and like many other areas in northern Ghana, many schools here run without ICT equipment.
In fact, learning of ICT it's very difficult for us because we have no computer lab.
This troubles the children here. Zainab Mohammed, now 16 years and in her final year, is one of them. She wants to be a lawyer, she says, but studying with no computers in 2021 in one of Ghana's hardest to reach areas make it all the more difficult.
When we are learning ICT, our master always write it on the board for us, and we don't normally understand it. So at times he always bring his laptop to teach us how to type and other things.
Zainab and her mates in the Almia Islamic School would be lucky now. They have a place to go to for ICT education. Kind courtesy, ATC Ghana.
As a technology-focused company, American Tower is very invested to ensure equal access to quality ICT education to everyone. And when I say everyone, we have a particular focus on DEI. When we say DEI, we are talking of diversity, equity, and inclusivity.
So, in the name of Almighty God, we launch this.
The facility is going to help a lot. Learning in ICT, teachers are going to learn, students are going to learn, others are going to benefit, and outsiders. And so we are very, very grateful.
Anything need a practice. When you learn how to type and you understand it better than write it on the board.
The digital community space in Boko is the fourth the technology giant is opening this year alone, and they plan to do more. Justice Baidu, Joy News, Boko.
Back here in Accra, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. John Kofi, the Agricultural Development Bank, who is MD of Agro Development Bank, says it is undertaking an expanded entrepreneurship drive where fresh graduates will be set up and mentored by national best farmers. Bring you details shortly in business.
Hello, welcome to Business. My name is Daryl Kwao. We have some news from the agri sector as we mark Farmers' Day. The Agri Development Bank, ADB, says it is undertaking an expanded entrepreneurship drive where fresh graduates would be set up and mentored by national best farmers and institutions as a way of providing jobs. Managing Director of ADB, Dr. John Kofi Mensah, says such graduates would receive monthly stipends, accommodation whilst they go through the entrepreneurship and mentorship drive until they are able to stand on their own. Addressing this year's ADB Agri Forum to mark National Farmers' Day celebration, the ADB MD said the bank would push the entrepreneurship agenda very hard.
Opening the doors through our service quality and department and our marketing and communication department to be able to relate with the customers. We are also going to undertake an expanded entrepreneurship build-up for our youth. And I mentioned it and I said that we have key selected companies and also those who have won the best farmer before, all the past awardees. We are going to put youth who have come fresh from schools and universities around them, and we are going to provide them accommodation and some stipend out of the production they will be doing, so that they won't feel like I've come out of school, I don't have money to fend for myself. And they will also be learning the job and entrepreneurship skills. So when they are able to stand on their own, and then they can hive themselves off and also create employment around them, so that within a very short time, you are going to have entrepreneurs instead of job seekers. And in the agro business sector, from the primary agriculture to marketing and consumption, this is the way forward for Ghana that is supposed to develop.
2020 National Best Farmer Solomon Kujoku says pushing for grants for small-scale farmers in order to boost the agri sector. He says the only way the country can reduce food imports is to excite the agri sector with grants not only to those who farm on a large scale but also to small-scale farmers who, he says, constitute about 70% of the country's food producers.
Indians gave 1% to their farmers. Chinese do. Our rate is too high. But now, by God's grace, 2018, we give a petition to the president, and the president ordered the MD of the ADB to negotiate with us, which we said we need below 10%. And now it's working. It's working. But what we need is we want the, let me say, the smaller farmers also get access to such grants. If we say the big-time farmers, at times, even we can take care of ourselves. But the majority, if we say the small scale, they constitute about 70% or 80%. So our pleading, and as a national best farmer, my pleading is the banks should sit down, make some policies which will cover the small-scale farmers. That's my biggest challenge. And if they do, I'll be much happier. Reduce the interest rates. The grants they should open up the grants. That is all. That's the whole secret. Let me tell you one thing. Even the food we sell to the consumers in this country, in my calculation, is still high. If the Chinese, Indians can do rice and come and sell it 200 Ghana cedis, and we do rice in Ghana and we sell it 220, 250, did it sound to you? If we are doing rice in this country, we have to sell it 120, 130, so that you, the media man, also will be free. You feel the impact. So the challenge is money. And the money that we are talking about is not loan. We are not talking of loan. We are talking of grants. So that you will be free, I will be free.
2020 National Best Farmer there. Well, ADB says it would honor its promise of giving the cedi equivalent of $100,000 to the 2021 National Best Farmer. Meanwhile, ahead of Farmers' Day celebration set for tomorrow in Cape Coast, Joy Business has been speaking to many experts at the event grounds who have paraded their innovations and technology to help improve the agri sector. One of such innovations that has received massive patronage at the grounds is the solar poultry cage. The poultry cage, Richard Kodonyako reports, comes in handy and is capable of shoring up the country's poultry production. He's been engaging the innovator, Sumaila Abubakar.
At our college park, where there are a lot of activities that are currently ongoing as part of the National Farmers' Day celebration. In fact, there are so many exhibitors. They started from Monday and they are all here in their numbers. But one of the stands that has received a lot of patrons is the solar poultry cage.
The reason why it's called solar poultry cage is that it is being powered by solar. Let me put it that way. It's being powered by solar, in the sense that it gives light during the night. You know, these poultry farmers, they always want to go outskirts, so they find it very difficult to get access to electricity. So we decided to include solar into it, making the whole system complete, so that when you get it, then you don't have any problem about electricity. It has a laying tray, and you can see where the birds are. When they lay, it comes into this tray, and they eat from this tray. They eat outside, but they drink inside. They peck and drink inside. So this system is making the entire system very tidy, unlike the deep litter type. This system also gives enough vent to the chicks, so it makes them also very healthy. And apart from that, we are also talking about the roofing system. Initially, we didn't include the roofing system, but we were advised to add the roofing system, making the whole system completed. And it has a warranty of not less than 10 years. So if you buy this one, this small cage you are seeing has a dimension of 9 by 6 feet, and it is taken as maximum as 300 beds. Each level had 100. So if you have this small cage, then you are talking about 300 beds. We're in 300 beds. The major problem for a poultry industry is their litter. That is their waste. And then even if you look at the battery cage, their main problem is their litter. So if you can come here, let me show you something here. If you want to clean their litter, it's very simple. You just have to pull this, clean it, and then put some small dust on it, and then fix it back again. It's so simple. So one person can take care of more than 3,000 beds. Only one person. You get up in the morning, all you have to do is to put the feed in their feeding system. They already have their drinking storage at the top of this particular cage. So you don't feed them with drinks. All you have to feed them is their feed. Put their feed inside, and then you go away. When they come, you just have to just open here like this, and then you start collecting the eggs. A lot of people are interested in the poultry industry, but as I said earlier, because of how their waste are, how to keep the whole place tidy, how to go about things, it makes the whole system so tedious. So putting up this cage means it is reducing the labor cost. It is making your work very, very easy. So I recommend it to anybody, whether you are a lecturer, whether you are working, wherever you are working, you can just buy this, come and go and put it at your backyard. You are taking care of about 300 beds, and they are not easy. So I'm recommending anybody at all can do it, whether you are male, whether you are female, whoever you are. So far as you have a place to accommodate this, then you can go into the poultry industry.
EcoBank Ghana has presented 4 corn dehuskers at a track to 4 Yedens Agro group of companies, aggregators and farmers in the Bono and Ahafo regions. According to the Managing Director of EcoBank Ghana, Daniel Saki, the financing of the equipment worth about $160,000 is to help the aggregators produce more as well as help reduce post-harvest losses. He made the remarks during the handing over ceremony at the forecourt of Yedend Agro group of companies in Sunyani. Precious Semevo has more.
EcoBank Ghana facilitated the acquisition of the 4 corn dehuskers and the truck at $160,000 for the aggregators through Yedand's Agro group of companies to be paid back under flexible terms. This is the outcome of transparent discussions the farmers had with EcoBank and the agro processing company 4 months ago. The dehuskers are expected to support about 6,000 outgrowers and smallholder farmers from 83 different communities. Speaking on the theme Inclusive and Sustainable Finance for Agribusiness Value Chain, the Managing Director of EcoBank Ghana, Daniel Saki, noted that despite the risk factor, the bank believes the equipment would make the processing of harvested maize more efficient and reduce post-harvest loss, hence more money for the farmers.
As a bank also, we believe we are committed to the communities within which we operate. And that is why supporting the agribusiness value chain in these communities is important for us, because it directly impacts the life of the various communities. And we believe that if we are able to do this successfully, then we can help our communities grow. We can help our youth stay within the communities. When you harvest your maize, instead of shelling it manually, these machines will enable you to do that in a more efficient manner. And in so doing, we are directly contributing towards reducing post-harvest losses. And if we can prevent that, then immediately we'll be putting more money into the pockets of our farmers. Our expectation is that you will make all your payments on the mobile app so that there will be a history of what you are paying for. And in so doing, we will then able to use that history to give you more financing so that you can produce more.
The CEO of Yadent Agro Group of Companies in Timadu thanked EcoBank for believing in their business concept and supporting the aggregators.
The volume of maize required this year is about almost 15,000 metric tons. And the shellers are going to help the smallholder farmers reduce post-harvest losses. And I think that's what EcoBank have realized and seen us as a very good value chain actor and anchor and have come in. You see how they are supporting our farmers. They are supporting production, they are supporting transportation and haulage, they are support end to end. There is support everywhere. It's about the livelihoods that we impact.
An aggregator, upon Kweku, said the support from EcoBank would help them produce more promptly, and they would honor their side of the deal to ensure more farmers also benefit. Bono Regional Minister Justina Osubanahini applauded EcoBank for the bold steps taken to support the farmers despite the risk factors. She appealed to other banks to emulate EcoBank so that farmers can expand their output to ensure food security in Ghana. Precious Semevo, Joy Business, Sunyani.
That's our update tonight. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Daryl Kwao. We leave you with some international headlines.
Hello and welcome to the second part of the sports segment with me, Oreku Wampofu. We'll do some tennis and we're talking about the ACE 360 Tour tournament, which would be taking place later this month. Now, this will be the first time ever that a tournament has been put together for the national rankings of kids aged between 3 and 12. I've been speaking with some of the participants ahead of this tournament. So welcome, guys. Nairam, how are you doing today?
Good.
You're doing good?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and Janelle, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling amazing.
Fantastic. Andy, how are you doing as well?
Fine.
Okay, great. So we're going to be talking about some tennis today, right? And we'll be starting off with your interest. How come you started playing tennis? Let me start with you, Naira.
I started playing tennis when I was 3 years old. And when I was in the house, Rafa Nadal was playing against Dominic Thiem. And in the Roland Garros, that's when I fell in love with playing tennis.
Janelle, how did you get into tennis?
So, first, my dad was teaching me how to play tennis when at the age of 2. And as I was growing and growing, I got more interested in playing tennis. And then I started playing with a coach called Coach Na in July.
Okay. Interesting. Andy, how about you? What's your tennis story like?
I was playing tennis because my dad plays it. And he was teaching me how to play tennis. He bought me a USA Open tennis racket when I was 3. And then he hung a ball on the ceiling and then I was practicing playing tennis.
That's interesting. I love how all of you, go into tennis. All of you have role models in tennis, right?
Yes.
Great, good. Let me start with you, Nairam. Who's your role model and who do you look up to?
I have 2 role models. My first role model is Rafa Nadal.
I like him because he plays with a lot of power and passion. And I like Roger Federer because he has a lot of technique when he's hitting a ball.
Interesting. And what about you, Janelle?
Okay, so I look up to Serena Williams because she also tries her best to get the ball. She tries her best to get the ball, and I like her because she's always trying her best to get the ball, and she's using all her courage and she's disciplined too.
Interesting. Andy, what about you?
My role model is Novak Djokovic, and I like him because he has won 19 Grand Slams.
Yeah. Now he's actually made it 20. Do you think he's the greatest of all time?
Yes. He's the world number one.
He's the world number one there. Well, do you agree with him? Do you think Djokovic is the greatest of all time? Or you think Nadal?
I think all are the greatest.
All are the greatest. What about you?
I think Djokovic is not really good because he's smashing his racket every time when he's angry.
You think that's not good?
Because even though you don't miss, you just have to try and see what you can do better. You just have to be trained not to smash your racket in the middle of a game.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about that, Andy? He says that Djokovic keeps on smashing his racket. Do you think it's something he can improve on?
When he smashes the racket, he just gets a new one. But when he finishes it, it's all for him.
Okay. So guys, I know you are young and you go to school and you play tennis. How is it like, balancing schoolwork with tennis too? How does it feel like?
It's hard and difficult because I do classes 5 times each day, and also I go on court on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So the days I have to go to school when I'm doing classes, it's hard for me to balance it.
And what about you?
Okay, so I think it's easy for me because doing schoolwork may be difficult, and playing tennis may be hard and difficult as well and tiring, but it's still easy for me.
Interesting. We've had one who says, Nairam says it's difficult. Janelle says it's easy. Where do you fall?
Mine is just normal for me because I just play tennis regularly, and sometimes I even go on Sundays with my dad and play tennis.
So there's a big tournament coming up for kids, the ACE 360 tournament. All of you are going to be part. So I want to hear your thoughts, preparation, and what your expectations are. Janelle, how prepared are you, and are you confident you are going to win?
Yes.
Yes to which one? How confident are you? Are you prepared?
I'm very prepared, and also I'm wishing to be the first.
Is this your first ever tennis tournament?
Yeah, it is my first ever tournament.
So are you a bit scared?
I'm not a bit scared because I have a lot of time to practice my tennis to the day we have the tournament.
Okay. Andy, I heard you saying this is your second tournament. How did the first one go?
The first one went well.
And this time, are you hoping to finish first? How is preparation going for you?
The preparation is going well, and I think I'm going to win the tournament.
You think you're going to win the tournament? That's good. I'll come back and check once the tournament is over. But Naira, let me come to you. Both of them are very, very prepared, and they all think they're going to win. What about you? How confident are you?
I am very confident, and I've also played a tournament too.
Which tournament was that?
It was in the clay courts on Christmas. This Christmas Day, I was 4 years old playing tennis, and I'm confident I'm going to win my second tennis tournament. I'm prepared.
Between the clay courts and the hard court, which one do you prefer?
I prefer both.
You prefer both? Okay. Let's talk about your training sessions. What's a normal workout day like for you? What are some of the drills that you do?
Sometimes on drills, I go for a walk. I jog around the house. I take my dog out for a run. And then sometimes I just do push-ups up to 15 to 60.
Okay, that's interesting. Andy said sometimes he goes for walks, he jogs around, and he does push-ups. What are some of the things that you do for training and workout?
Well, every time I come to training, it's the same thing. I jog around the court, then I do some physical trainings, then I hit some balls, then I play a fun game, then I go home.
Interesting. Janelle, what about you?
So, yeah, I'll just come and then I have to run around the court 5 or more times and then jog on the ladder, skip over the step, and then I'll start with what I actually do. So there are lots of physical things that we all have to do.
Yeah, it's true.
And also my dad plays tennis. He helps me whenever we go to our second house.
Okay.
My dad also plays
Your
tennis.
dad also plays tennis?
Yes.
So it's interesting. Wait, all of you, your dads play tennis, right?
Better than him.
You are better than your dad.
My dad
Wow.
is better than me. And also...
And your dad also plays tennis? Your dad also plays tennis?
I've won, what do you call it? 8 matches and he has won 6.
Against him, so you beat your dad. What about you? Do you also beat your dad?
Yeah, I do, because my dad can't hit a ball all the way to my neighbor's house, but I did, even in the gutter.
And what about you, sir? Nariam, do you also beat your dad?
Yes, I've won like 20 matches against us, and sometimes when I'm hitting a ball, I accidentally hit it on the top of our house roof.
Oh, wow. So it looks like the parents have to do better because, the 3 kids, Andy, Janelle, and then Nairam, seem to be all beating their parents. But guys...
Mom, she can't even play tennis.
She can't even play tennis.
Me too.
Your mom can also play. Andy, can your mom play?
Yes.
Your mom can play.
My mom is trying to learn, but she can only jog.
Hopefully you guys have to teach your parents, okay? But before we go, before you go, I just need one word from each of you, okay? What's the one advice that you get from your coach that you take away always? Okay, who wants to start? Let me start with you, Andy. What's the one advice?
My coach now said that every time I lose a match, I should not be bad and be angry. But it means I should just train more.
Okay.
And I want children to look at me and tell them that they want to play like me on TV. And then they have to exercise on tennis and then don't do screen time a lot.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Andy. Andy says that Coach Na says that when he loses, he shouldn't keep his head down, he shouldn't be angry. And he also goes on to say that he wants children to watch him all around the world and want to be like him in future. What's the one advice from Coach Na?
So Coach Na,
what are your future aspirations to you?
Whenever I do something right, then she said that I should keep it up. So I want to tell the children that are listening that they should always believe in themselves.
All right. Thank you very much, Janelle. Nariam, what about you?
Well, Coach Na always tells me that when I'm playing tennis, it does not matter about the point. It matters that having a fair game and playing the balls well. That's what matters. And
what do you have to say to kids out there?
They should always believe in themselves and they should not always think of themselves.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. It was a pleasure speaking to you, Andy, and all the best in the tournament. Janelle, all the best in the tournament, and Nairam, all the best in the tournament. Of the participants getting ready for the ACE 360 Tour Tournament. We'll bring you more updates as it takes place later this month. My name is Ore Kwampofo, and that's how we wrap up the sport here.
And that's how we wrap up the bulletin tonight. My name is Aisha Ibrahim.